Hello. Today's stories come from r/slash I don't work here lady. We've got four stories. First up, man refuses to believe I am the office lady and insists I don't work here. It's funny because I am exactly the kind of person who is always mistaken for an employee. I guess I have that walk or whatever it is that people cue off of. I'm an office manager at a church and an atheist because life is funny, and was sitting at my desk doing my thing when a guy from our pest control company comes in. Hi, I'm Freddie with Pest Control Company. I usually talk with, I can't remember her name, the older woman who works in this office. Hi, Freddie. I'm Neon Fuzzball, the office manager. You probably spoke with me, actually. No, it was a few months ago. The office lady was much older. She let me into the kitchen. Well, I can let you into the kitchen. That's no problem. Here's my card. Hand in my office manager biz card. Gosh, I just can't seem to remember her name. She works here in the office. Well, I work here in the office, so you'll be stuck with me from now on. I always deal with the office lady. Will she be in today? I'm in charge of the office, so I can take care of whatever. No, I need to talk to the office lady, the one who works here. He points at my desk. There's no other office lady. The only other woman who works here is the minister. But I always talk to the office lady, the older woman. I'm just leave your paperwork here. I'll make sure it gets to the right place. I'm supposed to leave it with staff. They pay me. I'm staff. Oh, they pay volunteers? I, I'll make sure the paperwork gets to the right place. Is she your mom or something? Is that why you're helping out? Guys, I swear it was me. I've been here for years. It's my office. I'm the only one who works here. I'm the only one who deals with vendors. I am the older woman he talked to. But by the end of this, he honestly had me doubting it. Eventually, he gave up and agreed to give me the paperwork to give her when she comes in and went to spray for bugs. I guess I'm officially an old woman, but can pass as a younger version of myself with my mask on. I wasn't sure if this was I don't work here lady or I do work here, but the sheer refusal to accept that this lady knew what she was talking about after going round and round was too funny. There's a funny comment and a pretty good explanation. Let's check it out. Dirk said, time for a new pest control company. That guy has breathed too many poison fumes. OP. I did wonder about that, honestly. Hogwarts Alumni 25 said, I wonder if he was confusing you for another place he works at? OP. I'm almost annoyed at how logical an answer this is. And now for the feel good story of last year. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. The management company that oversees my apartment building has always been total garbage. Packages go missing from the mailroom, repairs take forever, staff are unfriendly, not at all worth what we pay in fees. There was only one solid employee, and he almost made up for everyone else's incompetence. The janitor, Ruan. He kept everything sparkling clean and even pitched in when other people slacked off, helping with repairs, ID checking in the lobby, and more, just because he took pride in the building. Then the corporate oversight of the management company changed, and the new boss was having all the properties inspected to do a quality spot check on the individual building managers. Our manager, the winner that he is, decided the best course of action would be to not come in the day of the oversight visit so that it would have to be canceled. The hope was the checker would just inspect what he could without the manager on site, which wasn't much, since he'd have already made the trip out there. My apartment has terrible cell reception and no AC, so I spend a ton of time downstairs in the lobby, which has both. I was able to overhear most of the planning for this visit as a result. Our janitor, Ruan, knew too, and he was spiffing everything up like new in excitement, fixing a few broken things the repair guys ignored, and even bringing in fresh cut flowers to the lobby out of his own pocket. Ruan dressed up in a collared shirt and khakis for the visit. He didn't know the manager was bailing. I just heard it hanging out in the lobby late one night. So when the corporate inspector arrived, Ruan was the only guy he saw. He was dressed up, so the inspector shook his hand and started rattling off the things he wanted shown to him. Ruan knows this building better than anyone else on the staff, so you could tell he was a little overwhelmed at being seen as the point person. But he knew the answers to every one of the inspector's questions. Meanwhile, a few tenants and contractors who frequent the building passed and all knew Ruan brought him concerns about their apartments. Those on the staff who knew we were being inspected even made a point to say, yeah, Ruan's the guy if you've got a problem. So the end of the inspection must have come because they recongregated in the lobby. The inspector told Ruan he wanted to get his full name so he could make a note in his employee file of how well he's run the building so far, and that he'd meet with him later in the week to discuss fixes for the problems he's found. Ruan, shocked, is like, "You want to meet with me again?" And the inspector's like, "Sure, I'm looking forward to a long working relationship. I like to meet with each building once a month. Sorry, what was your name again for the file?" Ruan told him, and the inspector goes, "Hold on. I thought someone called Eddie was the manager here." And Ruan explained, clearly embarrassed and scared he'd done something wrong, that he is not the manager. The manager didn't come in today. The inspector then went and spoke with a few people in the building on his own, while Ruan absolutely lost his mind in the lobby, thinking he was going to be fired or get the building censured or something. Eventually, the inspector comes back and he sits Ruan down and tells him he might not be manager in title, but he's manager in action, so if he wants it, he's got a new job. The man cried. Ruan's been working as a contractor through a janitorial service, not directly for the building. So no benefits, considered part time, very little job security or support. And he'd just gone from that to a cushy office job in the building he loves in the blink of an eye. I was sitting on the couch a few spaces down from them. The lobby has a sitting area with tables and chairs and couches, and I felt compelled to ask, before anyone got too excited, "Hey, excuse me, can you do that? Or could someone veto this?" Because I hated to think Ruan would be so excited only to have some sort of bureaucracy or old boys club shoot down his promised opportunity. The inspector turns to me and informs me he's the new chief operating officer of the management company and final hiring decisions are at his sole discretion. Then he asked who I was, and I basically said, I was just leaving, and I got out of there before my big mouth complicated things any further. This week, Ruan started officially. We've got flowers in the lobby every day now, and a dripping faucet I've been waiting 6 weeks to have fixed is scheduled for repair on Thursday. He didn't work there, but he does now. Go, Ruan. You're nailing it. It sounds like the residents of the building are about to be a whole lot better off than with the manager who couldn't be bothered to show up. And now for a few comments. Becky Jr. said, "This story has made my day. Well done, Ruan. This gives everyone a little bit of hope." Kathy 2000 says, "I want to be a stripper. So now I just wear my thong to school?" Ghostlit replied, "You do you, honey." Kylie Nara said, "This is an amazing and wholesome story, but I'm not sure why you noped out at the end. I think I'd have said I was a resident, reassured him that was a great choice. You just were checking before anyone got their hopes up." OP replied, "Hindsight is 2020. All I knew in the moment was things were going great until I butted in and I was inserting myself into a business conversation that had nothing to do with me. No one in the equation needed my help. I was raising issues that didn't trouble either party. As my granddad always said, never miss a good opportunity to shut up." Our third story is comprised of two bite sized tidbits from a very frustrated lady. Hispanic woman in a garden nursery. She obviously works there. I'm the Hispanic woman in the story. To set the stage, I was shopping for an Earth Day event for my office at a local farmers market nursery in downtown Dallas. It's kind of an upscale nursery and frequented by tourists and influencers. I have olive complexion, long black hair, and brown eyes. I'm dressed in a silk blouse, jeans, and red bottomed heels, having just come from a sales meeting and wheeling around a cart full of pots, succulents, mulch, and planting soil. Incident 1. A young Caucasian woman walks up to me and asks me, in broken Spanish, "Onde pagar?" No biggie at first. I point to the register area where there are 3 registers with 2 employees working 2 registers and a line of about 2 deep each. She thanks me, again in Spanish, and I think the conversation is over and turn my attention back to the agave plants, and she says, "Hablar Inglisho?" Yes, English is my first language. She looks surprised, and I think she's probably embarrassed, but then she asks me if I can ring her up. I wish I would have actually said the words, but I was polite and told her, "No, ma'am, I don't work here." She did look embarrassed and apologized. Incident 2. I set my cart down in an area out of the way since the aisles are pretty narrow and there are potted plant displays, statues, and lawn ornaments. I don't want to risk knocking over. I park the cart and walk about 10 feet away to inspect some large urns. I select a couple, and as I'm walking back to my cart, a middle aged blonde woman is unloading my cart. Excuse me, ma'am, that's my stuff, I call out to her. She looks at me and continues to unload as I approach her. She simply says, I need this cart. I pick up my succulents from the floor and put them back in the cart, and I tell her, this one is mine. Go ask an employee for help finding one. She looks angry but walks off. I just roll my eyes and think, that's the end of that. I would find it all so comical if it wasn't so sad. Then she comes back with a very confused looking manager and tells him that I'm not allowing her to use the cart. He asks if I'm done with it, and I tell him no. He offers to find the woman another one, but she starts in with, this place needs to prioritize its customers' needs over its employees. He accidentally lets out a snort and says, she doesn't work here, she's shopping, same as you. She did not appreciate being laughed at and made a scene threatening to report his behavior to the owners. He introduces himself, and it turns out he is actually one of the owners. She threatens to take her business elsewhere, and he lets her know that there is a Home Depot about 5 miles away. The look on her face was priceless. The third and final incident, I'm talking to the owner about the succulents and how best to arrange when twice, and without apology, people interrupted us asking for help. Each time, the owner tells them, I'm with a customer, but so and so can help you. And each time they look surprised or taken aback. I've lived in this area for over 4 decades and have worked in this area for over 2 decades. It's always this way. Oof, the big box stores. They attract them like fleas to dogs or flies to, well, you know what. There were some funny takes in the comments I wanted to share. Sharon Rin said, I love it when customer says, I'll take my business elsewhere, especially when complaining about prices. Cinema were sort of expensive. Their defeated look when you tell them exactly where to find the closest store and their prices. Funny thing is, they still usually buy from us anyway. Restless Dragon replied, I always like when they say, I'll never come back here again. I just want to look at them and say, promise? Mangosta 007 said, you're going to take your business elsewhere if we don't bend over backwards to accommodate your unpleasant, belligerent, and harassing behavior? I'm trying but failing to see how that would be disadvantageous for us. Off you pop and mind the step on your way out. Captain Molasses said, I've, Tejano Man, been working on my yard and have been complimented on how great it looks. Some neighbors take it a bit further and try to ask me in broken Spanish how much I charge the homeowners for my services. Nothing, and walk inside. And now our final story is a lesson in dealing with Karens. You'll have my job? Okay, this should be interesting. On mobile, yada yada. I am reminded of something that happened to a friend of mine maybe 1 or 2 years ago after reading another post on which a Karen threatened to have someone's job. I'll tell the story as it was told to me, in the first person. So, I'm out shopping for a few things bread, milk, bin bags, etc. I remember that I need some ham, so I go to the cooked meats aisle and look for something tempting. As I'm searching for something nice, I hear a voice behind me saying, Excuse me, in a not at all polite manner. I look over my shoulder and see the local Karen. I acknowledge her and take 2 steps to the side, but don't turn around. I feel a tap on my shoulder and the same, non too polite voice saying, Excuse me, I'm talking to you, don't ignore me. I turn around and open my mouth to ask what she wants and why she's being rude, but before I can speak, she starts berating me for being a lazy member of staff and ignoring her. I say, If you think I work here, you're wrong. I don't. And she says, You're just being effing lazy. I'll have your job. Really? I say, badly feigning surprise. You'll have my job. Yes, I will, she says with a strange mixture of superiority, righteousness, and stupidity. Okay, suit yourself. You can have it. I waved my hands around in strange shapes and announced, You are now officially a member of staff. It is said that a picture can speak 1,000 words, but the look on her face at this point just said, What the frack? But I want you to get things for me. She starts. Don't ask me. I'm a customer. You should ask a colleague since you work here. In fact, you can help me with what I need. What? But I don't work here, she gibbers. Yes, you do. You said you'd have my job and I gave it to you. Now piss off and leave me alone. She stomps off, but that wasn't the end of it. Another customer who's clearly seen the interaction stopped her halfway up the aisle and said loudly enough for me to hear, "Oh, finally, someone who works here. Can you get that heavy thing off the top shelf?" "Oh, piss off," she exploded and walked presumably out the shop. Other customer, "You absolute legend." I know the story is a little older, but I couldn't pass it by. I love the hand waving like OP was casting some spell over the Karen. I think OP hit on an excellent anti Karen technique here. You need to fight crazy with crazy. Even if they don't get it in the end, you're left with a really funny and entertaining story. Now for some comments before we wrap up. That guy 468 said, "Gotta love a reverse Una move like that." Ex Shoe Wolf said, "Man, if I worked there and saw that, I would go up to the woman, introduce myself, welcome her to the team." If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.